Finally, and perhaps most curious of all, Crowley, like many sorcerers, expressed an interest in backwards phenomena. For example, in his most famous work, Magic in Theory and Practice, he encourages his disciple to train himself to think backwards by external means, as set forth here following. Let him learn to write backwards. Let him learn to walk backwards. Let him constantly watch, if convenient, films and listen to records reversed. Confirmation that backwards phenomena is characteristic of satanic religion comes from respected British criminologist Henry Rhodes. In a book detailing the spiritual roots of modern crime, he describes the rituals surrounding a satanic mass. The priest so times his mass that it shall end on the stroke of midnight. His server is a woman with whom he should have been intimate. Prayers are said backwards. In fact, backward phenomena is quite common throughout the occult world and in the lives of those who have been affected by its power. Had they known this, satanic mass, the priest so times his mass that it shall end on the stroke of midnight. His server is a woman with whom he should have been intimate. Prayers are said backwards. In fact, backward phenomena is quite common throughout the occult world and in the lives of those who have been affected by its power. Had they known this, the police officers who discovered the backward writing in Tommy Sullivan's personal notebook would not have been surprised. Earlier in this presentation, we noted within rock and roll two examples of backward recording, commonly known as backmasking. Each has been of the same variety, where the artist or the engineer has simply reversed a vocal track and then mixed it in with the rest of the music. Now, it's easy to pick out this type of backmasking when listening to a record forwards, which is still, presumably, the preferred method of enjoying music. The backmask section makes virtually no sense forwards and also has a distinctive atonal sound. Now, as another example of this type of backmasking, listen to the beginning of In League with Satan from Venom's album Welcome to Hell. First, we'll listen to it forwards. Makes no sense, does it? Well, when we reverse it, we hear... Biblically, theologically, this backmask message is really quite accurate. That is precisely what Satan has planned for each one of us. It's only through Jesus, who defeated the devil by his death and resurrection, that we can escape this fate. But back to the point at hand, it's evident that Venom had this backmasking done intentionally, and therefore, it could be argued that there is no significance here beyond the fact that three guys like to get weird, probably just as a gimmick to sell records. But now consider the second type of backmasking. With this variety, the vocal track makes sense both ways. When you listen to the music forwards, you hear one message. When you listen to it reversed, however, you hear something entirely different. Now, it's been suggested by some that when we listen to music in its normal forwards mode, the subconscious mind is able to decipher the backwards message, and mind control results. It becomes what is termed a subliminal cue. Really, there isn't a shred of reputable evidence anywhere supporting that hypothesis. And anyway, so what if there is some subliminal suggestion going on here? As we've already seen, you don't need backmasking to pollute someone's mind and heart. The regular frontwards music is more than enough to take care of that. The real question we need to ask here is not, can a listener subconsciously hear a backmasked message? But instead, how did it get there? There are three possible explanations. Number one, that it's intentional, that, like the first type of backmasking, the artists or engineers are intentionally hiding messages in the music. We must remember here, however, that the vocal track makes sense forwards as well as backwards. For it to be intentional, the vocalist would have to sing just the right lyrics and in just the right way, and nobody's that smart, as a number of musicians and producers have testified. Number two, that it's just an accident, a quirk of musical fate. Well, not only are the mathematical probabilities of this absurd, but the fact that virtually every example of this type of backmasking conveys a message that is intrinsically demonic even further disproves this hypothesis. Really, the only workable explanation is our third choice, that it's spiritual, that outside intelligent forces with supernatural power are occasionally able to play an artist much like we would play a musical instrument. Biblically, this makes perfect sense as we see the principle found in 2 Timothy echoed again and again, that virtually all unsaved people have been deceived and ensnared by Satan and are captives to his will. The degree of captivity is determined by the extent to which an individual gives themselves to sin and embraces the principles of Satan's kingdom. Rebellion, slavery to lust, occultism, all the things we've seen so clearly manifest within rock and roll. In addition, let's remember that many of these artists, an incredible number in fact, have quite candidly admitted that they and their music are influenced by some outside spiritual force. Like the subtle, practically invisible fingerprints left behind at the scene of a crime, the following aural phenomena point clearly to the one who came to steal, kill, and destroy. Our first example is from Electric Light Orchestra's El Dorado album. Here's a segment from the title song, played forwards.
I'll sail away on a voyage of no return to see if the turn of life is meant to be.
Note that even forwards, there's an element of anti-Christian thought here. Eternal life is definitely meant to be. We're all going to live forever. The only question is where. Now, here's that same segment played backwards. Again. One more time. Our next example is by Queen from their song Another One Bites the Dust, one of the most popular and enduring songs in rock history. Taking the same section and playing it backwards, we hear understanding what we learned in part 3, that drugs and sorcery are closely tied together, it's easy to see the satanic motivation behind the command, start to smoke marijuana. Next, we have a song taken from Cheap Trick's popular album, Dream Police. The significance of the song's title, Gonna Raise Hell, becomes even more apparent when we reverse this segment. Again.